Here are the 2025 Chevrolets. We have the Trax Activ in nitro yellow over jet black and yellow accents, and the Trailblazer Activ in cacti green over jet black. Which one is going to be better? I'm going to be going over the different trims, the comparable competition, and some pros and cons. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rod, starting with the Chevy Trax. Because this is the Activ, you're getting a signature LED headlight that integrates into the top portion of the grille with the gloss black. The lower grille is going to be blacked out as well with the smoke chrome LED headlights. Both of them are going to receive over 7 inches of clearance. And you have 5 different trims to choose from with only a front wheel drive configuration. Going into the Trailblazer, standard LED signature daytime runnings that goes as well into the top portion of the grille with the same smoke chrome. We're getting matte black in the interior with LED headlights. Now when you go into the Trailblazer, you can option front wheel drive and all wheel drive. But you have to be careful which one you tick, because all the front wheel drive, they have 2 different power options. They will be a CVT transmission. Only all-wheel drive will give you the 9-speed automatic transmission. You also can tow with this up to 1,000 pounds. With the Trax, you can't. You're gonna have 18 horsepower more because we have the 1.3 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder that's pumping out 155 horsepower with 174 pound-feet of torque. This one has a CVT transmission because, like I said, front wheel drive. Here, you're getting a 1.2 liter Ecotec 3-cylinder turbocharge that's only going to have an output of 137 horsepower with 164 pound-feet of torque, but it's paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now the MPGs, because these are both front-wheel drive, Trailblazer is achieving 29 MPGs for the city, 33 MPGs for the highway, whereas the Trax, you're losing 1/1 on the MPGs, but it's not really going to be such a difference in the drive. GM is saying that the 1.2 liter gets a 0 to 60 around 8.6 seconds. These vehicles are not meant to go on the track. They're everyday use. You're talking about a subcompact SUV. The Trax is going to have 18-inch wheels going into the Activ. The LT will have a 17-inch wheel, and the 19-inch wheel will be on the 2RS. Matte black will surround the fenders, the lower rockers, with a touch of the gloss black on the side view mirror, and you can option features on both vehicles, which to me is definitely a pro, because going to Honda, you can't do that. Going to Toyota, the features are going to be a lot more money than Chevy, which doesn't make sense because you're getting similar specs when you're talking about the convenience package. But unfortunately, both of these vehicles still have the RC antenna. They don't option a shark fin antenna, but I've heard that you can get an aftermarket. One cool thing between the two, though, is if you're thinking about doing some off-road or towing capabilities, you go to the Trailblazer because you could tow up to 1,000 pounds. You get an off-road suspension. Now, it's nothing crazy like a Bronco. You're not going to do that with these vehicles, not at this price, but it's nice that they give you that ability. But when you go to the Activ on the Trailblazer, you're getting a 17-inch wheel opposed to the 18-inch wheel that you'll get with the Trax. 17-inch wheel is also a standard wheel size for the LT. Going into the 2RS, you'll get the 18-inch wheels. You can option a panel moonroof. I like that we have the gloss black for the A-pillars, and we have the white for the top of the side view mirrors as well as the roof, so it looks like an off-road vehicle, especially with this green color. Both two of them just stand out. And now going into competition like Subaru, if you tick the box for the wilderness, guess what? You can only get a CVT transmission. Yes, you're gonna have over 9 inches of clearance, which is awesome, and you could probably tackle a little bit more on the off-road, but you're gonna be spending at least 4 or 5 grand more. This is gonna get better MPGs, plus you can option a 9-speed automatic transmission. As for Honda and Toyota, you can option vehicles with hybrids. You can't do that with these trims. But when you go into Honda, you have to go tier base. So it's gonna cost a lot more money to get standard features that you're getting here, because you can also option features on each tier. With the Trailblazer, you have 4 different trims to choose from. This is the top spec, whereas the RS is going to be more of the sweet spot because it unlocks a lot of standard features and it gives you that sporty exterior style. And the RS will give you LED tail lights. Anything underneath that, you will not receive it. You'll get halogen tail lights. The lower gets dual exhaust finishers. Both will get reverse parking camera with reverse sensors and Chevy safety assist. Both of them, unfortunately, you have to tick the box for features like driver confidence to give you all of the features for safety. That's a con to me. But which one would I choose? I would go Trailblazer because you could tow, you have more capabilities, it has an off-road suspension, it just has more practical use for around 4 or 5 grand more. And you're getting better MPGs plus optioning an all-wheel drive vehicle. Because when you go into the competition, you're going to have to pay a lot more money to get similar features to this, in which you only have to tick the box for maybe 2 or 3 features when you go into the Trailblazer. Going into the Trax, there's a ton of different features unless you go into the active trim level. Quick release, going into 25.6 cubic feet of storage with a storage nook on the side. Underneath the floor, gets a spare tire, and you can remove the privacy cover pretty simple, and because I'm tall, I'm gonna just split fold the rear bench in the back. Otherwise, you have to go into the back in order to do so. That folds down at a 40-60 split, maxing cargo to 54 cubic feet. Because we have the convenience package, you get a power lift gate going into 25.4 cubic feet of storage, which is 0.2 cubic feet less than the Trax. You get a storage cubby on both sides. Underneath gets a spare tire, and you can also lower this down. Because I'm tall, I'm gonna just fold it down from the back at the 40-60 split. And this is going to max cargo to 54.4 cubic feet, which is 0.3 cubic feet more than the Trax. Trailblazer. The Trax Activ gets 10-way power seat adjustment for the driver with this leatherette interior, active badging, contrast stitching in yellow, heated front seats because we have the convenience package, 4-way manual seat adjustment for the passenger. The Trailblazer gets 10-way power seat adjustment for the driver, 6-way manual seat adjustment for the passenger, the same active badging and the contrast stitching and piping in yellow. Starting with the Trax headroom and leg room, all trims, you can option a moonroof, and it is driver focused setup with a standard 4-speaker. 6 speakers go into the Activ. The dashboard is going to bulge out a little bit more so on the passenger, so you lose a little bit of leg room here. I do like the circular vents and the design that comes into play with an 11-inch touch screen with wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth, audio, Wi-Fi, hotspot. Put it into reverse. You get a reverse camera. Unfortunately, it does not cover the full screen. And I like this Camaro style air vents here with a climate control, wireless charging pad. You can option on this trim and up. And you'll have the satin aluminum with the gloss black elements and the key fob for the Trax. Another little storage pocket. This is going to be firm, lifts up into a deep storage pocket. The steering wheel is going to be wrapped because of the convenience package multi-function that also adds the adaptive cruise control, rear cross traffic alert, lane changing alert with side blind spot zone, and rear park assist. With a full digital gauge reader with the same layout for the Trailblazer, same thing for the steering wheel. It's wrapped, it's heated, except we get the wireless charging pad because we have the convenience package, which also adds the auto dimming rear view mirror, and you can adjust that power trunk where you don't even have that as an option for the Trax, and the key fob for the Trailblazer with some driving modes right here. Reverse camera is the exact same, and you can option a 7-speaker Bose on this trim and the RS. With the same storage, this is pushed back a little bit more so, but we have a little tub and it makes it extra deep when you pull it out. Dashboard and door panel configured together, and it looks a little bit more upscale. You'll have the cloth inserts with the contrast stitch, one touch up and down for the driver window, hard materials with a medium-sized storage pocket with a change holder for the driver. Whereas the Trax doesn't receive that. The door and dash do configure it together, and you get the same pattern except there's no cloth, it's more of a vinyl, no one touch up and down for anybody, and about the same size storage pocket. The back seat of the Trax headroom isn't an issue, nor is the leg space. Going up the tier, you're going to get storage here because that doesn't come standard. With a USB A and C with a storage tub, no armrests or cup holders, and the door is going to be stripped of all of that material that you saw. So there's no vinyl, no contrast stitch, no gloss, nothing. All hard materials, but it's about the same size storage pocket. The floor is flat, so sliding in the center isn't an issue, nor is feet, butt, leg, and shoulder space. Headroom is actually pretty good too. As for the Trailblazer, you're gonna have a touch more headroom. The same thing for leg, butt, and shoulder space. It's basically the same. Knee space can be compromised depending on the way the seats are set. Flat floor, you're noticing more storage, and sitting on the sides, headroom is actually a little bit better. As for the door, stripped of all the materials as well. So everyday materials in a smaller storage bin. But we have a armrest with cup holders in the center. We're gonna start off with the Trax, 18 horsepower less, 12 pound-feet of torque less, but it's also less curb weight. So when you're putting all the numbers in perspective, this also has a 6-speed automatic transmission, where we have a CVT transmission in the example that we are giving. I have reviewed the 9-speed automatic transmission. There's a little bit of a difference in the drive, but not a significant, really, where it's going to make a huge buying decision for you. Now with the Trax, maneuverability and getting out of traffic is easy. The same thing with the Trailblazer though, because they're both kind of not that long and they're not that wide of a vehicle. You want to go into the Activ whenever you're going for the Trax though, because this is where you unlock features like being able to option a wireless charging pad. You can unlock and lock the front doors and all the doors by the push of a button on the exterior. You can also get the upgraded sound system. All of the trims come with active noise cancellation, and all of them are over 7 inches of clearance. But in order to get the power seat adjustment for the driver, you do have to go up the trim, and it's gonna cost you around $3-4 grand whenever you're going to that route. Motivation is good. I mean, you still are packing 137 horsepower with 162 pound-feet of torque. So it is quite a bit, because this is only around 3,200 pounds curb weight. A pro here is you don't have to worry about a CVT transmission. So if you are looking to option the Trailblazer, they don't have it on the lot. Some people may settle for a CVT. I'm not a huge fan of the CVT, but I still like the packages that we're getting overall with the Trailblazer. I feel that it is worth the $4,000 or $5,000 bump from trim to trim. This is a great everyday vehicle, and even with these upgraded wheels, you don't feel that much imperfections in the drive, so the suspension is good. Plenty of cargo capacity, and I mean, you're only about 0.3 cubic feet less in storage compared to the Trailblazer. So it really gives you everything for $5 grand cheaper if you don't need any of that extras like towing and worrying about doing any light off-road capabilities. I mean, hands down, this would be the way to go because you're getting so much of a value. Turn radius at a stop point, it's gonna get about 2 lanes. Let's give her a go. Now the problem that I have with both of these vehicles is the power underneath the hood. I would have liked to see a 4-cylinder, but is it a fun vehicle? It does tick the box for that. You have that sporty style in the interior for both of them. It is a driver-focused setup, and because it's turbocharged on a low note, you can really get this thing to pick up and go fast. But once you start getting up onto the highway, you will start hearing the engine getting a little bit more loud. But for some cons, the materials that are on the side where you rest your arms, it is very hard. The same thing in the back, they strip out pretty much all the amenities, and you still have to option features for safety, which should be standard, especially considering the value that you're getting with this vehicle. If you're not going to give some of those features standard, and you're going to charge $500 to $400, ultimately $1 grand, you might as well increase the price. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. As for the total drive, it's comfortable. You're not gonna have too many issues. Even as I'm 6'3", I can rest my legs on the door panel or the side cluster for a long journey. I just wish it had some kind of manual cushion extensions to make it a little bit more comfortable. And you wanna go up the tier, because if you go on the base 2 trims, the seats are not as comfortable. Now the Trailblazer with the 155 horsepower and 174 pound-feet of torque, but this is a CVT transmission because we have the front wheel drive configuration. You have to go into all-wheel drive. And the reason why I'm stressing that is because when people watch these reviews, they typically ask me the same questions that I already answer. So therefore, that's why I'm explaining it in depth. As for the drive, you can feel a little bit more of a power bump. It's not a significant difference. I mean, for a $5,000 difference in price, I wouldn't really be saying go this route for that. But as for the way you sit inside, you have a lot more room for the foot areas as well as the actual seat itself. It's still going to be hard material surrounding you though, where you rest your arms, and that's a sad case on both of the vehicles, especially because this touches into the $30,000 realm pretty quick. As for the active noise cancellation, I feel it's a touch better here, and this is also a little bit more of a box structure, so even in the back seats you're going to have a little bit more room as well. Maneuverability isn't an issue. Ride comfort seems to be a little bit better here as well, even though this is more tuned for off-road. And you're gonna have a little bit more for speakers. You'll have more amenities once you go up the tier. I mean, it just kind of gives you a lot more potential for that few $1,000 upgrade. But would I option the Activ? I probably would go into the RS and just maybe option a feature here or there and save a couple grand if I was comparing the two. And I would definitely go for the all-wheel drive so I get the 9-speed automatic transmission. And as for competition, even though these two compete against each other more or less because of the size not being such a huge difference, they both still are kind of one of the sweet spots in the segment. In going this route, you get a little bit more in the interior, you're getting better MPGs. I mean, there's just too much more that I'm getting to say no to this. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank Regal Chevy for giving us these two 2025 Chevrolets, the Trailblazer versus the Trax, for our car comparison review.